Last week I made a video talking about how the state of Mario Kart World is kind of bad right now. Lots of people are fleeing the game and not looking back as Donkey Kong Bonanza released, and a lot of people are just not happy with Mario Kart World. It's probably one of the quickest drop-offs that I've seen for a lot of people with any game, and before everybody blasts in my face, hey, Nintendo Land, the game's selling extremely well. Of course it is. It's a launch title and it's a brand new Mario Kart after 11 years. I mean, this could have had like 4 tracks and people would have bought the heck out of this game. It's the next new Mario Kart, of course. But at the same time, lobbies aren't filling up online, viewer engagement doesn't seem to be at its highest unless it's something negative about the game. People all around just seem to be a lot more negative with this game than positive. But instead of just bashing this game, I think it's best to kind of talk about how Nintendo can save Mario Kart World and bring back a lot of its fans that decided to drift away after a couple of weeks. So today, I have a ton of ideas for free and maybe even eventually paid updates for Mario Kart World and what Nintendo can do in order to save this game. I know I just scared so many people by saying paid, but you'll hear me out when I get there. Real quick before we get started, we are still trying to reach our goal of 400,000 subscribers this year, and we are super close to 370,000. You guys can make this happen today by leaving a like and subscribing, so let's see how many people we get to subscribe from today's video alone. We are super close to our quick goal of 370k, but thank you guys, and let's dive into the ideas for what Nintendo could do to revitalize Mario Kart World. So I actually have a list of just a bunch of random ideas slapped together. It's a pretty long list, but it's a bunch of random things, no particular order. I'm just going to be going through them. A lot of these were ideas I had for maybe a Mario Kart 2, or Mario Kart World 2, that is. I made a whole video for that. I'm yapping. Anyways, first off, blue shells are way too common, and they definitely need a change. It feels like Nintendo actively doesn't want you to front run or win at all, so it makes it feel like I'm always just trying to maintain second place. Almost every lap of Knockout Tour, and pretty much every race and versus race, until that blue shell comes and then they take over at the last second by holding their items and stuff, which, you know, is causing a lot of people to bag as well. You get extremely punished in this game for being in first place. They need to greatly decrease the amount of blue shells. I mean, in the Rainbow Road track alone, you can get hit by like 4 to 5 blue shells, which is just... it's absolutely absurd. So please lower the amount or the spawn rate of blue shells. Same thing with kind of the boomerang. I think they need to just have it be 3 throws, because the 4 throws, that extra throw, you really feel it. I mean, everyone's throwing those boomerangs around, man. 4 throws is a lot. I think the Mega Mushroom also needs a little less spawnage, because I feel like there's always 4 or 5 people with a Mega Mushroom at any given time in Mario Kart World, just crushing everybody. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people also want the bullet bill to actually deal some damage. It just very slightly knocks you out of the way and doesn't do anything, but I feel like that was done because there's so many people on the track in these tight spaces. It would be kind of OP if it just like knocked everybody down and dealt damage, but yeah, maybe some item adjustments is definitely needed. There needs to be a jukebox feature that allows you to choose what music plays, because it's insane that this game has one of the best soundtracks of all time and we can't choose what music plays, because I feel like a lot of the times I just keep getting the same like 4 or 5 songs in free roam. I want to be able to choose what music plays, maybe create my own playlist. It's weird that almost every single Nintendo game nowadays has some type of jukebox, but there's nothing like this in Mario Kart World. Like literally Donkey Kong Bonanza has a jukebox where you can actually choose what song plays in each world. Why can't we do this in Mario Kart? Especially as we're driving around in this world full of other cars, like there's no radio station or something we can turn on. This has to be a free update added to the game. There needs to be an intermission tracker. I feel like one of the problems is there are some decent intermission tracks in this game, but we can't remember which ones they are because you're gonna have to write them down. Like, oh yeah, my favorite one is from DK Spaceport to Peach Stadium. Like, how is anyone supposed to remember that stuff? They need to have some way of showing like the ones that you've played already, and maybe you can star them, and maybe there's like a little picture or an image to kind of give you an idea of what the track is like. Something like that would help out a lot, but I know that's something relatively small. The intermissions are boring anyway, so I feel like a lot of people wouldn't care. But there needs to be some type of garage that allows you to customize your cart more. There's not a lot of carts in this game, and of course we can just say add more carts, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of carts, especially when there's 24 different racers. I thought there'd be like double, triple the amount of carts. But yeah, overall, it just seems like there's not a lot of customization. There's so many stickers that you can unlock in this game, from doing P-Switch missions, milestones, even the, you know, gold peach coins that you can collect. But still, for some reason, you can only use one little tiny sticker on your cart. allow us to put more stickers or place them where we want, or maybe place them on our characters if they're wearing helmets or something like that, because there needs to just be more customization. What's the point of having millions of stickers and I can only use one at a time? That means like there's still going to be millions that I haven't used. Mario Kart World needs a proper time trial leaderboard that shows you exactly where your ranking is, just like the Odyssey minigame leaderboards did, because there's so many times where if I'm not like the top 50 or something, it's like they don't show you exactly where you rank, which it seems pretty short. I don't think it's 50. I think it's more like 20 or 30. So yeah, I want to see exactly how I rank amongst a larger group of people to see generally if I'm pretty good at that track or if I'm more on the weaker side. Something like that would be a really fun update. It's something small again, but it's something that would help people get a little bit more competitive. The character select screen definitely needs a fix. The costumes just thrown in as individual characters look so stupid, and we said this since the game was even shown off in the beginning. This needs to be an update. Just allow us to turn it on or off, toggle it, stacking characters like Smash Ultimate. Just allow us to turn it on and it'll pretty much just give us a drop down menu for every character in their costumes, especially if Nintendo's planning on adding more characters in costumes, which I would be sure they are. I mean, I don't understand how in the world they wouldn't. So if there's more characters in costumes coming, they need to prepare for that. I think there needs to be a better way that you can spend your coins, because I have so many coins right now, and I bought all the carts within like the first couple of days of playing this game. Now I just have all these coins. There's tons of coins to collect in the free roam, but for what reason? What reason am I collecting all these coins or going out of my way to finally reach a stack of coins on top of a building if there's no real reason outside of unlocking those couple of carts in the very beginning? There needs to be ways there. Maybe there's like an online shop that gets added to the game where, you can buy new NPC characters, maybe new costumes for your characters, new carts, and new customizable items or something like that every week. That'd be really, really cool. We already have a good amount of characters and costumes, but there's still a lot of characters that don't have costumes. None of the NPC characters have costumes at all. Some characters are very light, like for instance, Donkey Kong and Pauline only have one costume each. So maybe there is like a Donkey Kong Bonanza pack. I think there's rumors suggesting that Void Kong and even a special other character is going to be making the cut into Mario Kart World, based on like, I think it was like voice actors or something in the credits. But yeah, if there's more characters, more costumes and stuff, let us use our coins to buy them. Just have like an online shop that rotates new costumes in every week or something. There should be like weekly things that we can do with our coins. Which, on that same topic, there needs to be like waves and seasons of free characters and costumes, like some type of roadmap of things that we can expect from the game. Maybe even like in-game events and tournaments and stuff, like even adding tournament mode to online. But Nintendo needs some type of thing to keep the game alive, because it feels like they just throwed it out and forgot about it. I know it's only been about 2 months now, but still, 2 months is kind of a very long time. They have no updates or plans for the game announced right now. Splatoon's been doing it since Splatoon 1, and it keeps the game alive. I know it's mostly a multiplayer game, so it kind of needs it where you don't have to play Mario Kart online, but still, if anyone's going to continue playing Mario Kart for months to come, it's going to be online, and right now, there's not a lot to do online, and there's not a lot of events or anything to keep people coming back or turning on the game in order to purchase things. So they need to announce some type of waves or seasons or something to keep people interested. I think they need to upgrade the intermission tracks, and you might be thinking, how in the world can they do this? I'm not asking them to rebuild the tracks. It would kind of mess up the whole game and ruin cups that already exist, but just add some P-switch missions, or maybe some type of things that are on the road. For instance, you run over a P-switch and a bunch of ramps appear, or a bunch of flying sections, or things that's off the path that you can use a mushroom for. Actual shortcuts appear instead of you just driving through the grass areas, but stuff that happens on these intermission tracks, something to change them up a little bit. Add more creatures or enemies or objects on some of these tracks. Just do something in order to make them more interesting, because you can just decide to skip them all together, add a mode where you just play the regular tracks, but still, some people want to play the intermission tracks. Like, I want to enjoy them, I just think they're so boring and dull right now. There needs to be better intermission tracks. Also, for free roam, I feel like they could just add more P-switch missions there as well. There's only like 394 or 397, I can't exactly remember, and I know I said only as if that's not a crazy amount, and it is, because it feels like it. I'm still trying to find every last one of them, but yeah, I feel like adding more P-switch missions would just keep the game alive, and maybe different colors depending on the different season. Like maybe they'll add like 50 for this season and 50 the next season and stuff. They could easily fit it. I mean, even with the large amount of almost 400 P-switches on the map already, there's still a lot of areas that don't have any switches at all. all. So it would just keep people coming back and playing free roam a little bit more. And they need to just straight up add a P-switch counter and a Peach gold coin counter, because there's no way of tracking these things down without a guide. There's no way anyone's going to ever fully complete this without having some sort of online guide. So Nintendo needs to have some way to track this, at least just show how many P-switches or coins that are missing in each region. That would make this process a lot easier. We need more and way better knockout cups. There's only 8 cups in the game, which means you see the same 8 paths over and over and over again, and you finish on the same 8 out of the 30 tracks over and over and over again. So it's so mind-boggling that there's over 200 intermissions in this game, but Nintendo only allows us to race on a handful of them through 8 cups. So yeah, they need to add a lot more, and I'm not just talking like another 8. There should be like at least 30 when the game came out. So I'm hoping Nintendo announces a bunch of more knockout cups in order to keep that mode alive, because it's such a fun mode, but I've already gotten so sick and tired of the same cups over and over and over again. We need some bigger modes. I think it'd be cool to really utilize like this multiple player thing. I don't know if the game's even capable of doing something like this, but having like maybe a couple modes that stretch it to like 50 players, which I'll admit might not be a great idea considering the fact that the game's not even filling 24 player lobbies all the way. But imagine these giant knockout tours that take you on like a trip around the entire map or something, and there's like 50 players and it slowly eliminates players. Like that could be a really rewarding game to win, almost like a battle royale. And the same thing with battle mode. I can't believe there's no like big battle mode, you know, balloon battle thing that utilizes the giant open world map, allows like 50 players, and then pretty much like Fortnite, the circle closes ever so slowly, eventually leaving only one player left. So it's like the last one standing wins. Would be really cool, something to really engage players and give them a super satisfying win. But speaking of modes, maybe we don't need just bigger, but just more obvious modes. Like there needs to be a classic mode added, especially for online. There was a chance for us to get classic tracks by just picking random, but Nintendo changed that, so now you're forced to pretty much always play the straightaway intermissions, which it kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. So there needs to just be a classic way to play Mario Kart, you know, maybe even just bringing it back to 12 racers, 3-lap tracks, and that's it. But then people are going to get a little upset probably that the fact that there's just nothing but 30 tracks in this game, we need more tracks, which is going to lead me to a thing that I'll talk about here in a minute. But still, yeah, there needs to be a classic mode. I mean, this should be something that's obvious, especially since Versus and Knockout Tour are pretty much the same thing now, where you're just racing on these long straightaway intermissions from one track to the other. There needs to be an online ranked playlist for competitive, and something like maybe even a tournament mode would be great. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had it. Why is there no tournament mode in this game? It's very strange to me, but I feel like eventually it will get added where people can create their own tournaments and stuff. But I would just simply love a playlist for competitive. Like I said, maybe it is just those 3-lap tracks and 12 racers, but something that actually gives you a ranking system as well. Very similar to Splatoon, where maybe there's like a whole ranking letter grade that you can get from like C, B, A, S+, stuff like that, to really show how good you are. And you know, that way you can actually play in super competitive lobbies if you want, or you can just go online and play normal casual. There should be some type of competitive mode, and it feels like Nintendo doesn't ever want to bring Mario Kart to that competitive level. And I get it, it's more of a party game for a lot of people and for most, but for a lot of us as well, it's also competitive. And I feel like Mario Kart World is capable of being the most competitive in the series with all the tricks and the crazy systems that they implemented. But there needs to also online be a way to party with friends for online play. Did you know right now, if you and your buddies want to jump into an online session together, I'm talking worldwide, playing with other randoms all together, you have to actually, once again, wait for there to be a spot while joining a friend one at a time, which is so incredibly stupid. Just allow us to party up with friends and search for online matches together as a group, and then all join into a random online match together. I don't know why that's still not a thing in the big year of 2025, but it's something that definitely needs to be there. Now, this is kind of a debate amongst a lot of people. A lot of people want it and a lot of people don't care about it, and that's 200cc. Now, in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it was actually more like a 400cc or something like that in both Mario Kart 8 and the Deluxe version. But this time, maybe they make it more an actual 200cc, speeding up the races a lot more, especially for these intermission tracks. I feel like that's the thing, where they might be a little complicated to work around with the trick system on the 3-lap tracks, but when you're driving straight on these intermissions, I feel like literally just having a little bit more speed would be enough to make these a little bit more bearable. I think that's the problem. You're driving so slow, so straight, with little obstacles on the road, so it feels like you're not even really paying attention to the race at times. You're just kind of, drifting away as you're racing straight along into the sunset. So hopefully they do add a 200cc mode as at least just an option for people to play if they want. I feel like this could greatly fix the problem with the intermissions right now. Last but not least, straight up DLC. Now, the last thing people want to hear is paid DLC for an already $80 game, which is already lacking in content. I get it. I understand. And trust me, if this was an option just to give us free new tracks, I would 100% be so happy about it. But let's face it, it's Nintendo. Is there even a world where Nintendo decides to give us free, brand new DLC tracks in the game? I highly doubt it. So if they're going to give us DLC and make us pay for DLC, I need to see some really ambitious things brought to the game. And the only thing I could possibly think of how they could pull this off is if they just have a whole nother island and map that's pretty much just like a second version of this game, you know what I mean? More free roam, more P-switch missions and stuff, more characters, costumes, and tracks, and more knockout tours and stuff with these new tracks. And yeah, just adding another map. It doesn't have to be as big as the first one, but maybe just like a smaller, more condensed version. And maybe there's even like cameos to other, Nintendo property characters like Kirby and Metroid Samus and stuff like that would be really cool. And they could have their own little tracks on this like giant interconnected Nintendo themed map. But yeah, I don't know how else they would add tracks. And I feel like they definitely have to. If there's only going to be 30 tracks in this entire game from, the start all the way until the end of its life cycle, this game isn't going to last another week, you know what I mean? They need to add more tracks into this game because, yes, there's a lot of intermissions, but especially when people hate these intermission tracks, it only feels like there's 30 tracks in this game total, which feels extremely light for the series. So they definitely need to add more because I feel like the trick system makes these tracks some of the most fun and engaging tracks that we've ever played. So it's one of the few times I wouldn't even mind like a bunch of retro tracks coming back with this new trick system implemented with a lot of them because it completely changes up the track, which is really cool. I mean, look at Shy Guy Bazaar. It never was something that stood out to me, and now it's one of my favorite tracks in the entire Mario Kart series. So more retro tracks, or maybe even a couple new ones as well, like they did with the original base Mario Kart 8, would be really, really cool. And I feel like they do eventually have to add tracks and come up with a way to do so, but they might have shot themselves in the foot with this open world mechanic. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what Nintendo has in store for us. So with rumors of an upcoming Nintendo Direct this week, I'm hoping we get more information on Mario Kart World and hopefully getting some DLC and updates and just quality of life changes added to the game. At least just a mode for us to play the tracks the way that we're supposed to play them on those 3-lap tracks. But we're gonna have to wait and see. Let me know down below if there's any other updates or DLC that you would like to see added to the game, any other changes or quality of life improvements. And thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Kart World and Nintendo in general. And like always, I'll see you all in the next one, and I hope you all have a blessed day. See you guys.